I want you to imagine yourself in a hospital room. The room has white walls and a white ceiling with oppressive fluorescent lights. The soft beating of a heart monitor can be heard next to you. The rush and panic of nurses and doctors flooding into the room. Everyone yelling and screaming and panicking. You probably are too. It goes on for what feels like an eternity. Then you hear it. The sharp, unmistakable noise of a child crying. Then they hand you the baby and tell you congratulations. You're a parent now. All the pain, fear, panic, all the parenting books you read melt away, and they are replaced by an overwhelming sense of love and joy, and the thought that you would do anything for that child. All of a sudden, the struggles it took to get you here don't matter anymore. All that matters is the little life you're holding in your arms, and all you can think about is that little baby. Would it surprise you to learn that in that moment, you were the closest you will ever be to feeling what God feels every time He looks at you? Every time God looks at you, all the pain and all the suffering He has experienced Himself melts away. He's filled with nothing but love for you. In that moment, when He looks at your face, He would do anything for you, even if it meant dying all over again. That's how much He loves you. There's an interesting narrative in the Old Testament. You see, when God punished someone or a people, the Old Testament described it as God having turned His face away. He would literally turn away from you so that He could not see you, and you could not see Him. I believe this means God has so much love for us that He can't bear to look at us when He has to punish us. Because all He sees when He looks at us is a little baby held in His arms. He just can't bear to watch you suffer by yours or His hands. Eventually, though, that moment when you're holding your baby comes to an end, and the doctor makes sure everyone is okay, then sends you home with a pat on the back. And of course comes the sleepless nights, the crying, the feeding, the changing of the diapers, and don't mention all the bodily fluids you end up coated in. Before you know it, they start growing up. You're no longer a little baby. Soon they learn to walk and talk. Now all of a sudden they're getting into all sorts of trouble. You watch as this little version of yourself makes all the mistakes you wish they wouldn't. Then come the terrible 2s and 3s, and if you're lucky, brief period where they listen and are relatively well behaved. Tell them to do something, and at most you have to ask maybe 2 or 3 times. Sometimes more, but they generally listen and try, and that's what matters. Because at this point, you'll take whatever you can get. I like to imagine that these years are akin to the way Isaac is portrayed in the Bible. Of the patriarchs, he gets the least screen time, mainly because he's actually well behaved and genuinely listens to God. This is not to say he is without mistakes, because he still makes some of the same mistakes his father Abraham made. Like father, like son, I guess. And like we do with our children, when they make mistakes, God still loves him all the same. God still protects him and his family and makes sure they are well taken care of. And in return, Isaac genuinely tries his best to do God's will. Good times don't last. Eventually, they gotta get older. Can't stay a child forever. And so then comes the teenage years. If you're lucky, they still sort of listen to you, but at some point they start thinking that they know everything. And they're going to do what they want to do. From then on, it's trying to train a cat. Cat's going to do what the cat wants to do. Sometimes you'll ask them to do something and they'll either ignore you or do the exact opposite. You tell them not to stay out too late or play with fireworks, and then they go and do both. In a dry field with tall grass. I'm not going to admit to anything, I'm just saying. That might happen, and you shouldn't be surprised if your kids come home late one night and the neighbor's bushes look a little more burnt than usual. The teenage years, early adulthood, are some of the toughest years for a parent. Because you're now dealing with a kid who thinks they're an adult and knows what's best. All while going through puberty and somehow forget how to tie their shoes sometimes. You know, if there was an age in which we were like Jacob, this is it. Because if you go back through Jacob's story, you'll realize that that man never grew mentally past the age of 17. He consistently does the stuff you would expect out of a teenager. First, he lies and cheats to get his own way. And when he sees Rachel, like a boy in puberty, he sees her and cries. That's awkward, to say the least. And he gets into an outrageous contract with Laban, his uncle, who then takes advantage of him and cheats him. But he still goes back and offers the same deal to Laban. He then eventually leaves in a way that entirely enrages Laban. Then he literally wrestles with God. Afterwards, he gets told what to do next and given a new name. Then he just ignores what God tells him to do and goes off again to do his own thing. Because for some reason, he thinks he knows best at this point. Consistently, this man behaves exactly like we did when we were teenagers. It takes him so long to finally grow up, and even then, he's still such a mess of a person. Through it all, God still loves him. God still treats him like his son. He treats him exactly how we would treat our kids when they're at that age. We let them make their own mistakes, guide them to the best of our abilities, and help them pick up the pieces afterwards. Oh, the joy and pain of loving someone unconditionally. I think that out of every saying that describes parental love, this one fits best. I don't have to like you. I don't have to like the things you do. I just have to love you. But I don't think have to is the word that best fits in that last sentence. But I will love you all the same. It's way better, doesn't it? Because you don't think of loving your children as a chore or something you're supposed to do. It's just something you do and will always do. It comes naturally, even if they were to set the neighbor's bushes on fire. You'd still love them just as much as you would have if they hadn't done that. And that's just the way God's love works. His love is steadfast, meaning it is unwavering, resolute, and firm. From beginning to end, the Bible demonstrates this. From the time of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all the way up until when Peter is restored to his position, God has never stopped loving us or chasing after us. In the Bible and beyond, his love has been and always will be unconditional and unwavering. I can think of countless times when I didn't deserve God's love, but he still gave it to me all the same. Believe it or not, there was a time in which I hated God. When my parents died, I hated God for taking them, because I had begged him not to. The funny thing is, he didn't hate me. He could have just left me alone to try and pick up the pieces, but he didn't. Instead, he gave me space and made sure I was taken care of. He still made sure I had a roof over my head, a warm bed to sleep in, and plenty of food to eat. He did all that because he still loved me unconditionally, even though I didn't. That's not steadfast love. I don't know what is. Listen, the point of all this talk is to make you understand that God's love is like a parent's love. An unconditional, unwavering love that can and will love us through our darkest moments in life, as well as our happiest. Doesn't matter what your child does. You know you could never hate them. It doesn't mean you won't punish them, scold them. It means your worst nightmares about them could come true, and you know for a fact you could never bring yourself to hate them, stop loving them. You already knew that. You knew it from the moment you first held your child in your arms, and you still know that nothing could ever change that. So I want you to know that it is the same with God's love for you. No matter what the world tries to tell you, no matter what you try to tell yourself, do not be deceived. You are a child of God. He has adopted you into his family. He loves you. And anytime you ever doubt that, I want you to remember that when God looks at you, he is overwhelmed with love for you. Because to him, you are still that precious baby he is holding in his arms.